Welcome back to the garage where we're continuing work on Project Ducati Multiprobla, the 2010 Ducati Multistrada that I bought for a song, but needed to put a lot of work into to get it turned back around into a good, reliable, and sweet running motorcycle. In this video, we're going to be tying up all the remaining maintenance items. Fluid changes, getting the brakes in shape, and also putting brand new tires on the bike. So when I bought this bike, it had okay tires, but as I started looking at the front tire, it was 6 years old and it was less than half life left in it. The rear tire, while in good shape and not that old, it didn't match the front. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna take both tires off, get brand new ones on there. That way I know how well this bike really performs with fresh rubber on it. So the first thing I need to do is take that rear wheel off. Now, I took the front wheel off in the previous video when I was replacing the fork seals. If you want to see how to do that, go check out that video. But to get the rear wheel off, you need this big honker of a socket. It's a 55mm 12-point socket. I had to special order this. Don't expect to find this on the shelves at your local hardware store. It's just not going to be there. You have to order this in. This is a 3/4 inch drive socket, so you'll probably need to get yourself an adapter that takes it down to 1/2 inch so you can put it on your impact gun. And I do recommend trying to remove the rear wheel nut with an impact gun because it is on there at a very high torque value, and relying on the rear brake to hold that wheel in place while you try to crank that nut off, there's a good chance you won't get it off. So use an air impact gun or electric impact gun to get this nut off. All right, let's get to it. Fast forward a bit and the old tires are off the wheels. But over here is the brand new tires I installed. I got some beautiful Michelin Road 5 GT. So the GT is more oriented towards a heavyweight motorcycle, but I'm really just wanting to get a lot of mileage out of these tires. They're still good if I want to take this to a track day, because you can see on the edge here they have a different rubber compound. It's really sticky. You can see, you can just push into it and see a little indentation. It's a very sticky tire there on the edge. And then in the middle, you can see it has really deep grooves for road riding and water wicking. So these tires, both of them mounted and balanced all in, was $440. So definitely not inexpensive tires, but I hope to get a lot of life out of these things. And since they're brand new, they have perfect profiles. So we'll really be able to see what this bike handles like instead of getting out there with a fully mechanically refreshed bike on old and worn out treads. But before I can stick that brand new beautiful rubber back on here, there's nowhere I'm going to leave this swing arm and rear hub area and chain and everything looking like it does. I mean, it looks absolutely terrible. So I'm going to give this a thorough clean, then we can put those wheels back on the bike.
Yeah.
Before I reinstall the rear wheel, I want to bleed the rear brake system and also fix the engagement point of the rear brake lever. You can see that when it pushes down this far, that's when it engages the brake light. But the brake doesn't actually engage until you keep pushing till right there. I not only need to bleed this system, but adjust the push rod linkage on the back side of the brake lever so that it engages about right there. Alright, with the brake pedal adjusted, full system bled, that's the total pedal travel. And that is exactly where it needs to be. Still plenty of play in it so that it's not locked when it's not pressed, but right there, that's full brake. Brake switch is engaged. That's what we're looking for. I think we fully fixed the rear brake system now. Now let's get the rear wheel back on the swing arm. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is replace the air filter. So this air filter is tucked way inside the bike. You really have to remove a bunch of stuff in order to replace this. And it's a pretty expensive element. So I'm going to be replacing it with a K&N filter, so it should last the life of the bike. And you just remove 3 bolts and this little nozzle comes off and you should have access to the filter. Alright, so that is the filter. Pretty dirty. Of course, it's the color of dirt, so it's hard to tell, but alright, so the new one is right here. The same dimensions, thankfully. Little difference is this end is capped off on the K&N and this one is open. I'm glad it's capped off because this just seals up against the air box and it's probably not a great fit. In fact, I can see a little dust inside of the air box, so obviously some things are getting past the air filter and it could be because of that. In fact, you can even see on the ridge of this sealing edge a lot of dust. So this will get around that problem altogether. Just slip this in. Filter also comes with this extra gasket that you just put inside of this nozzle. Helps it really seal up, keep the dust out. Highly recommend getting one of these K&N air filters if you got one of these Multistradas, because it's a lot higher quality than the original piece. And as always, your little K&N air filter on there, so the next person that goes in here to check the filter knows that they can just clean it instead of replace it. Alright, simple as that, of course, after removing everything. Next thing we're going to do is start reassembling the cooling system and top it up with brand new coolant. Now I'm going to replace the handlebar grips because these are the nastiest things I've ever encountered on any motorcycle I've ever owned. Of course, these grips have holes in them, so all that glue comes out and it's just sticky and it gets all over your hands and all over the controls. I can't believe someone did this in the first place, so we are going to take these things off and hopefully install these new ones without having to encounter too much glue. We'll just have to see how it goes. Those are the new grips put on, and I gotta say, it makes an enormous difference. Especially when you just touch the handlebars, you no longer have that slimy, sticky stuff coming off on your hands. So those look nice, they grip nice. They're a little bit of a bear to get on because this does have some aftermarket heated grips underneath there, so it makes the handlebar a bit thicker, but figured out a way to get those on with compressed air, so pretty happy with that result, especially for the small amount of money it took to make it happen. Only about 11 bucks. Then of course I threw some stainless steel fasteners back here. I'm not sure what happened. Originally this would have had stainless steel fasteners back here on the rear sets. At some point they got replaced with some cheap rusty steel screws. So put those back in there and it looks a lot fresher now. The only thing left to do on this bike, and it's the reason I haven't put the protective skid plates on the back, is because we need to do an oil change on here. This bike has two filters, your regular spin-on paper element type filter, and then inside of here there's a plastic net cartridge filter that needs to be pulled out, has some O-rings replaced. You check that one every other oil change. And where that cartridge filter lives, there's this little metal plate that has some silicone sealant that seals it on there. Gotta admit that's kind of a crummy design, so we'll just have to put some new silicone sealant to seal it all back up. So we need to get this bike started up, get the engine heated up, that oil heated up so it comes out nice and fast. So this will be the first time I've started the bike since going through it, since putting the timing belts on there, putting new spark plugs in, and doing the valve adjustments. So fingers crossed it actually works. Let's give it a try. All right, the moment of truth. Here we come. It's a good start. Oh yeah. So that was at 194 degrees, so I think that's definitely warm enough for the engine oil to come out. So let's get this oil change taken care of. Just when you think you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, you're doing the last maintenance item on a bike, you get to the previous owner who has red Loctited small screws on the sump of the engine. And yeah, so first of all, it stripped out the hex head on this because there's no chance that red Loctite was gonna let go. So I had to break out the Dremel tool, make some slots in this, and I couldn't get the flathead screwdriver to grip that enough, so I've lifted it with the weight of the bike with a floor jack and then turned a screwdriver with some channel lock pliers, and I got it to unscrew. Just unreasonable. You never use red Loctite. I don't care how critical a bolt is. If you need to use Loctite, use blue Loctite. Never use red Loctite. Unreal. Anyway, now we can continue to the oil change. Just a 30-minute detour to undo a previous owner's bodge. now that we've completed that fairly labor-intensive oil change, there's one last thing we need to do this bike to fully reset its maintenance schedule, and that is to reset the Desmo service light that is on the dash. Every time you turn the bike on, it says Desmo service 30,000 mile due now. Well, this is not exactly a super easy thing to reset. In fact, usually you have to take your bike to the Ducati dealer so that their service department can reset the light. And who knows how much it costs to do that. I didn't want to find out, I wanted to figure out how to do it myself. Luckily, there is a software available online for free that you can reset the service light on this bike. Let's take a look at all the parts needed to do it. So the two pieces of hardware you need to get in order to reset the service indicator is this 4-pin to OBD2 connector. You can just get these on Amazon, as I did. I think it was about 20 bucks or less. And this is so you can connect it directly to the bike's 4-pin diagnostic connector. And then you'll also need to get an OBD2 adapter harness right here with a USB connector. So this has a special microchip in it, and it uses the version 1.4 ELM327 interface. I don't know if the version 1.5 works as well. Most of the ones available online are the 1.5 version, so maybe it'll work, but I sought out the 1.4 because I heard that it definitely works. This has got a USB connector and it goes right into your computer. The third thing you need to do is download the software online, and you go to Google, just search on Melco Diag, all one word, and the first result is this JP Diag site, and you just click on that. It takes you to this web page, and there's 3 different pieces of software you can download. The one you want if you have a Multistrada, especially an early Multistrada 1200, is this M3C software. And you can see it says it allows you to reset service intervals. So you just go down here, it says you need the ELM327 version 1.4 or version 1.5. Supposedly the 1.5 will work. And you just click download, and it goes to your downloads folder, you unzip it, and here is what the software looks like. Then when you open it, it looks like an interface like this, but you do need to have your bike connected to the computer in order for you to get this to work. Now, the secondary thing you need to do is request a license key, and you do that after you've connected your bike and it gets all the information from your bike. Then you just go down here and click the Get License button, and the individual who offers this software package will send you a license key probably within a day. He got it to me within 24 hours, and that's how you get into the bike. All right, let's get this system set up and we can see how we can reset this thing. So the connector is underneath the driver's seat, so you need to pop off both seats here. You may have to hunt around to find the connector you're looking for, but mine is right here. It's got this little cap on here to make sure water doesn't get in. You just pull up this clip, slip the cap off like that, and you grab your OBD2 to 4-pin connector. You just connect it. Then you grab your OBD2 interface connector. Then you connect your USB to your computer. So just as a reminder of what this service indicator looks like every time you turn the bike on, let's just take a look before we reset anything. See right here it says Desmo service 30,000 miles due. So that's what we're trying to clear. All right, so here's our USB connector. We'll put this into one of the USB ports on my computer. All right, now we're gonna turn the ignition on the bike. Not start it up, but just take it to that so that the dashboard becomes visible. This allows the computer to connect with the bike. So in order to get this to work, we will need to close out of this and reopen it now that we've connected it to the bike. You'll get this splash screen right there, and then you select the port, which is this COM3, it already knows, and you hit connect. Oh, I guess I gotta select the bike year. So mine is a 2010 to 2011. Wants us to highlight the COM port. So that's what I did. Hit connect. It's taking its time to connect. You hear the bike running through some setup procedure behind me. You see all this information populates because it's now connected to the bike. You can see it's reading the mileage over here in kilometers. Bike has just over 30,000 miles, which equates to, I think, this 48,000 number that's reading right there. Now we go to resets. We get this warning right here that says if you've got basically a fuel map on here through a power commander or some other device, by doing one of these resets, it might clear out that fuel map. So make sure you've got that fuel map saved on your computer or somewhere else so that you can always reload it. So So pretty important warning, good thing they tell you that right here. Now you'll see that my service interval is grayed out, and this is because I haven't loaded my license key yet. The license key unlocks all of this information, and I believe they do this so that people can't attempt to resell this software as their own stuff, which is great because this individual has taken the time to create this and make it publicly available, and he doesn't want someone to be taking advantage of that and making a business off of this. So let me get my license file up. So in order to activate the license file, you do have to copy it from your downloads folder and paste it into the directory where the application lives. So this Melco Diag folder, you just copy and paste it here. And I think to get it to activate, you probably have to close the application again and reopen it. Click connect. Go on over to resets. Click OK. You can see now that we have the license file applied, these buttons now highlight when you hover over them. So we're going to click the Desmo reset. When I clicked that, it obviously did something because the bike behind me made a noise. Alright, so I believe that's done it. So let's go check out the bike and make sure it worked. There we go, no more service indicator. That is awesome. This individual that puts out this software has a donate to link inside of the application. If you find yourself needing to use this software, go ahead and send him some money. I just sent him 20 bucks because man, this saves you a lot of hassle from having to run to the Ducati dealer and have them flash this system at who knows how much money. So this just shows that that software does work. Just make sure you have your cables and you'll be ready to go. Alright, so that's the bike entirely sorted. Not quite as lengthy as the E30 project, thankfully, but this bike is now a really beautiful machine, thoroughly clean and fully maintained, ready to rock. Let's just take a quick look at all the parts we pulled off. So it doesn't look like much, but it takes a lot of time to go through and change all these things out. For example, the timing belts, the fork seals, the old grips, all the old O-rings and things you have to replace along the way, valve cover gaskets, bolt O-rings, and old spark plugs, and of course the air filter. So again, doesn't look like a lot, but these are the things that need to be exchanged when the bike gets to this mileage, about 30,000 miles, just so it can continue running at its best. But I mean, just look at this thing. It looks brand new. It's come a long way, many hours spent going into every nook and cranny, making sure all the dust from years of gravel road riding are no longer present. And of course, it's no longer leaking from the forks, the brakes work great, and all the electronics are operational, service indicators are reset. It just looks like it should. So that's all there is for this video. Be sure to check out the next one where we take this bike out for a spin and see what this super bike wrapped up in some comfortable ergonomics is truly all about. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys again next time.